What's up guys, Adam here, the Orlando Drummer, and welcome into my newest series, Timekeepers, a show about dope watches. So we'll be taking a look at some of my favorite watches in this series, covering various features, design concepts, and exploring how we can draw inspiration from these incredibly complex machines that I think are often taken for granted, especially by drummers. Now before we dive into this first episode, I wanted to share why I'm so fascinated with watches, because I know this video might come off kind of like a curveball on a drum education channel. For me, my interest in watches started with functionality. So simple electronics or mechanical devices like engines or small machines, they never left me feeling overwhelmingly intimidated. But with watches, the thought of building something that's so small that has this unimaginable precision, man, that's just a lot harder to wrap your head around. And the fact that watches aren't new, that people have been building these tiny powerful machines for like over 100 years, I always found that extremely interesting. And as someone who's personally interested in honing the skill of measuring time, I've always been somewhat envious of watches or people that know a lot about watches or even build them. And if you think about it, the ability to maintain accurate time without any fluctuation is kind of what we're all going for as drummers. Now, of course, watches aren't designed to subdivide time, change tempo, or measure polyrhythms. Those are tricks that we as drummers enjoy. But watches tend to be incredibly specialized machines. They do one basic thing extremely well. And in the same way, this is kind of how I approach being a musician. I don't need to be good at everything, but what I can do, I like to double down on those skills and be the best that I can be. And so if my goal is to be that specialized, dialed in timekeeper with perfect timing, killer consistency, and hopefully a unique style, in a way, it kind of makes watches like the perfect role model. So in today's episode, we're talking about my newest watch from 7 Friday, the Q101. Now there are 4 watches in the Q series, and each one is directly inspired by a different industry. What makes the Q101 so interesting is that it's actually inspired by vintage recording studios from around the late 60s. Now this piece is one of the bigger watches in 7 Friday's lineup, coming in just a hair under 50 millimeters in width, and it does feel pretty heavy on the wrist. The stainless steel box has rounded outside edges, but a squared top and bottom, and the face features black, silver, white, and gunmetal, which were colors more commonly found in recording studios back in the analog days. The interface on this watch is multi-leveled and features an off-center 24-hour disc, which overlaps the smaller seconds disc. Now both of these discs are modeled after vintage recording reels, and it's not just their design that models those recording reels, even the movement of these discs is fluid like an analog reel. So the second hand doesn't click forward for each second, but it glides smoothly in a constant circle. The Q101 also includes an NFC chip, which can be used to verify the authenticity of any 7 Friday watch via the 7 Friday Android app. Now what's cool about this is that the NFC chip is the same technology that powers Apple Pay on your smartwatch. So there could be some cool functionality here in the future. If your watch can talk to your phone, there's definitely a lot of possibilities. The chip is located on the reverse of the watch, embedded behind the globe. This is also one of the first watches from 7 Friday to include a date function, which they placed in the 3 o'clock position. The watch is powered by an automatic Miyota engine, and it has a 40-hour power reserve. The black strap is made of genuine leather, and like all 7 Friday straps, they feel super comfortable and they age really well. Now for me, this watch's design is just outside of what I would call the casual range. So on a scale of pajamas to tuxedo, I'd give this piece a solid 7. This is not a watch that I would wear to the beach or let's say on a hiking trip, but it's not so dressy that you can't wear it with jeans or just go out to a restaurant on the weekend with it. And if you need to throw on a suit, this is definitely classy enough to work for, let's say, a business meeting or an event like a wedding. But at the end of the day, that's totally up to you. I'm a firm believer that you should wear watches that just make you feel good, and for me, this is definitely a feel-good watch. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed learning about 7 Friday's Q101. Adam here, and I will see you in the next episode of Timekeepers.